Hi, my name is Sharzat Morgan, and in this video, we're going to be talking about what it is that men are really craving that they're not getting in this domesticated society that we're in. Like, life has become so easy, and that is good, but it's also bad because men thrive on adventure, actually stressing your body in certain ways that are good for you, boost your testosterone, boost your sense of well-being. And we have lost a lot of that in our society. So first, I'm going to play you some clips from a YouTube channel that I came across today. And the channel is named Wisdom Warriors. And I find this is a man who is very masculine, and he has a certain way of teaching things. You may not like it or agree with it, but I think it's worth a listen. So in this first clip, he talks about what men really crave. What is masculinity? So let's have a listen at this part.
The reason that men aren't men anymore is because our ancestors were too successful. Men thrive in wild, open spaces where there is adventure, where there is danger, and where there is problems to be solved. We can think about the Wild West. All these men went out there to find gold, to be cowboys, to be bandits. And it was like a rugged place. It was a difficult place to live. But because of that, men became stronger. They became more self-reliant. Their masculinity and testosterone increased, but also they banded together with other men. And this is the deepest urge within the masculine soul, is to take a great adventure into the unknown with brothers by your side. This was hunting back in the day. This was war back in the day. This was moving the tribe across the land. This was, building your houses in a flourishing community and farm. Like, men have always gone into problematic, dangerous, and adventurous spaces together. And this is what creates masculinity. This is what creates brotherhood.
All right, so in this next clip, he talks about how men in society nowadays have become domesticated. He calls it domesticated masculinity and lives of sedation, which is just kind of a byproduct of our society. But let's hear what he has to say, and then I'll be back.
What do men do today, right? I mean, we are a bunch of pussies. We scroll on social media and TikTok for a few hours every day. We watch Netflix, we watch entertainment and movies. We take pharmaceuticals. We live by ourselves in our small, tiny apartment. We work a job we don't really like. We're a cog in the machine. We have maybe a couple close friends, probably not that many. We don't have much community anymore. We are living lives of sedation. We are living lives of domesticity. We are domesticated, okay? And the domesticated masculine soul is always going to feel like something is deeply wrong. Life is never going to quite feel complete, my friends. And it's because we are lacking the wild open spaces that make us feel fucking alive, that make us step into our power as men, and most importantly, connect with other men to go master the dangerous place. Frontiers, whether that's scientific, whether that's your physical body, whether that's the border of your tribe and nation, whether that's on the business front, wherever there's open space, my friends, this is where you can actually feel a sense of purpose and a sense of masculine camaraderie. My friends, the masculine soul, it wants to be strong. It wants to be honorable. It wants comrades. And it wants a shared cause that we believe in and we are going towards together.
So I think these are also really good points, and I'm a big fan of having boys already get in touch with these elements of challenging themselves, okay? And that's why I really like Boy Scouts and like martial arts for boys and sports for boys and rough and tumble play, and having like boys get together to play. But don't forget that little boys also like to hold hands, and they get their feelings hurt, and all of that. Like, they still have a heart, but they also have this desire to challenge. They want to build things and play with Legos and roughhouse more than little girls usually do. And society has changed a lot, where boys are no longer in their daily lives or in their work lives given that opportunity. Now, instead of working with their hands, like in construction, farming, manufacturing, building, going on adventures, men are now kind of encouraged to sit in an office all day, often working from home, disconnected from the brotherhood. The Wisdom Warrior guy is really big into brotherhood and men working together to achieve a common ideal. And we see this a lot in the military, in firefighters or police officers, where they have a sense of community. And I think we did originally have that in our factories, where people worked together to create a product that they were proud of, and they had ownership in the profits. When the company did well, everyone got a raise, people got a bonus, people had stock options, they had pensions, they got watches on the anniversary date that they were there at the company. And that gave people a sense of belonging that they no longer have. Everybody knows deep down inside that they're just used by the owners of the company to have their labor exploited. So people have lost that sense of belonging. And I think that hits especially hard on men, as I'm making this video about men. They no longer feel like they're part of the company, like they're valued, that they're actually valued and appreciated as part of the company, and to sharing in the profits, that their ideas are heard. You might have a suggestion box, but no one's going to read it. So, and then working from home, you're not part of anything really. You're just like trying to earn a paycheck. Then add feminism with all these women saying we don't need you, but that's a separate subject. And then also with this decay in the economy and money being siphoned up to the top and the devaluation of the dollar and these asset bubbles, men no longer have like a claim to their own land or a hope for having their own land. I mean, it used to be that you either had a piece of land, or you could inherit a piece of land, or you could build a house. And even if you didn't have it, it was always within reach. It was something that you knew you could get. And at least in, the time when I grew up and our parents' age, men could buy a house. I mean, a man could work, maybe his wife was a secretary or a teacher, and they could buy a house and raise children. And now this is completely out of reach. So you're just sitting there at home in your apartment working. You can never own a house. This company can fire you at any moment. So you no longer have a stake in your own life or any kind of ownership. And I think when men don't feel like they have ownership, that they are the master of their own destiny, when that's just taken from them because of the environment that they're in, I don't think they want to create families. Men typically, just from what I know about men, they typically wait to get married or establish a family when they feel financially secure, when they feel like the master of their terrain, when they're able to have responsibility for their lives and their freedom. Like, okay, I have my job, I have my house, I have my plan, I have my fitness. Now I'm going to get a wife and a family. Or now I'm going to enter into a relationship, like my life is in order. But I don't think that men often can feel like their life is in order, or that they can even attain these things. And without that, they just don't want to be the provider. And why would they? So I do not know how we can turn this around. I just see what I think are some of the underlying issues. And then again, in this domesticated society, it's easy for us to just do things that are bad for us. I made a bunch of videos recently about why hooking up is bad for women. And someone said, well, why do they do it? And I'm like, why do they do it? Well, because they can, but just because we can doesn't mean it's good for us. And that's like scrolling on our phones. We can. That doesn't mean it's good for us. even YouTube, they're really promoting short form videos. About a week ago, they did an update. Now when I upload a video, instead of just uploading it, I'm prompted right away to make it into a short. They want to promote shorts, like short clips, short videos, because people don't have the attention span to listen to something really long. They want short things, and this is like destroying our attention span. I was out at dinner yesterday. I went to an early dinner to the seafood restaurant, and everybody sitting there eating was just on their phones. Like, we're not connecting. We're on these phones, and they're not smartphones, they're dumb phones, because they're making us dumb. Unless, of course, you're watching things that help you learn. I use my phone more as like for podcasts. But anyway, I think that when it's easy to live a life of sedation, and that makes men, I think it makes them feel discouraged. And why shouldn't they live a life of sedation? The opportunities to challenge themselves and are just taken from them. I think it's really good when men can buy a house, especially for men, because they can fix up the house, they can paint the house, they can work in the yard, it's their house, they can get a dog, have a yard, and that's just all been taken. I mean, here in San Diego where I live, if you don't have at least $900,000 or $800,000 for a house, you might as well forget it. And this is all due to inflation. It's due to inflation and no good investment opportunities. So, investors have competed with homeowners, and the dollar has lost value. Like, we have a lot of problems, but we have to figure a way out of it, because our politicians are not going to get our way out of it. They're just exploiting us to vote for them and using, putting our country into debt to build more military weapons. So, but this is a big reason that I think that men are saying we really just don't want to date. So they don't see their economic opportunity. They're living in a domesticated world. And the men-only spaces are gone. Like Boy Scouts, I mean, I know they had the issues with the child molestation, but there's also this thing of the feminists just impinging on men's spaces and saying, you can't have men-only spaces, you can't have men-only country clubs. And they took that away from men, and I think men need their own spaces. And I think if you can't find your own space, there's still some Boy Scouts that are just boys, but a lot of them now allow girls in. And this is not good. I think that men need men-only spaces. Little boys should be, ideally, if you can get them into a boys-only Boy Scouts, but they're going to need a dad to take them, and a lot of boys don't have dads who want to take them. In that case, you can get them into some kind of martial art, so they can be around other boys and men who are teaching them discipline and leadership. I like the Boy Scouts because they learn things like tying knots, starting a fire, going camping, reading a compass, like these outdoorsy type of things. And we need more people to be outdoors in nature, digging in the sand and being in nature, climbing trees. So I think that, and like, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm so tired of my office job, I just want to start a farm. I think we need more people to just listen to their inner voice about what really calls to their heart. Like, we need more men to work with boys and to get back to like kind of jobs that nourish their soul and that nourish their masculinity. Another thing that's been really hard on men is the women whose videos are like so obvious, like either on TikTok or YouTube, these very angry women. But that's just the stuff that rises to the top, perhaps because it's like so bizarre. I think that most women do like men and appreciate men. So when you see those kind of videos, you have to kind of consider that maybe they're just bringing that up in the algorithm to get more views because it's just so enraging, and more enraging things get more views. The Wisdom Warrior guy, I like his channel. I just watched a couple of his videos today. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's a masculine man that is speaking in a way that's healing for men, because a lot of the videos around men going their own way and so on come from anguish and pain and unresolved trauma. And I think we have to be aware when we're listening to someone, in my opinion, is this person coming from a healed, nourishing space, or is this person coming from pain and trauma and projecting their own disillusionment about the world onto us? And to be very careful about the content we take in, because if you start watching MGTOW videos, then the YouTube algorithm will keep showing you more and more and more, and pretty soon you'll think that all women are cheaters, all women are bitches, all women want to take advantage of you, because that's the space that you're occupying. You're in that little, here's the world of men who have a good view of women, and you're off in this little fringe corner, like a fringe corner, and maybe you want to be there for a while to check it out or to feel hurt, but that's not going to bring anyone forward. That's just going to you're just going to be spiraling into like an alcoholic that drinks too much. Eventually they're going to be like lost. It's sometimes hard to get out of it. I don't know. It's just a downward spiral into like depression and like darkness. It's a downward spiral into darkness. So I think we have to be careful, like, what kind of content am I consuming? Why am I consuming this content? Am I watching this video because I want to be entertained right now? I want to learn something right now. I want to hear a different opinion right now. Sometimes I watch things that are the opposite of what I believe. And when just to hear what the other person's view is. If I notice that they're speaking from anger, though, I can't take that in. I won't allow that into my space. But if they're just sharing their opinion, then I'm curious why they think that way, different from me. So anyway, I thought the Wisdom Warrior was pretty good. It was the first video I've seen in a while that was talking about masculinity, and I think that's the reason why men are not really wanting to go to college as much, because it's become this boring place dominated by women and correct thinking and the pronouns, and you're not allowed to question anything. And men thrive on challenge. They want to question, they want to challenge. And when universities have become places where you just have to be complacent and you're not allowed to protest, you're not allowed to question things, you have to make sure that you stay in the right thinking. And the only speakers they bring on campus are speakers that fit with the left-wing ideology. Men are just checked out, and rightly so. And I think it makes sense for men to go into careers that involve physical activity, plumbing, electrician, welding, mechanic, construction. They usually thrive in that. They want to be in their bodies, and that builds testosterone. It makes them really hot too. They stay in really good shape, those guys. So those are just some of my thoughts. I'm curious what your thoughts are about masculinity and how men can be encouraged, that we value their masculinity and that we crave their masculinity. One more thing I want to say, I live in California, which is unfortunately very domesticated, and the guy on the video really appealed to me because he looks like a real man. He's not a domesticated California diaper wearing guy, compliant, he's willing to be outdoors. I like men who are just willing to be outdoors and forge their own way and have beards and just be manly. Lumberjacks, cowboys, that's what feminine women like. And not these domesticated California boys that sit at home working on their computers all day and never get outside. That's really not attractive. And I think that women have maybe become angry because they lost attraction to men, because men have become feminized by our society. So we have to break out of this some way. So I will be back for the comments, and thank you so much for watching my video.